eggshell white.
Yeah.
Up against the dark, you can see it when you walk back. You can't see the difference. I don't know. Go walk too hard. Hey! Oh, you're having fun? I hear you like the house. So, you really can't tell. So we did all the way from, I wrapped it around the house.
Yeah.
Down south, here, all the way back here. So as much as it's around 5 months to put on the road and one goes back. So, I mean, I can't, no, I can't, yeah, unless you get real close, you can't tell. So I don't think we're gonna have any problems.
Yeah. Dude, you got a HOA that's looking at the shade of your eggshell white.
She said she could see the difference when I got close. I couldn't see it.
Early was have this apartment like with the sun and everything.
Yeah.
So like it'll look different, but then if you turn it away, it'll look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's time, isn't it? Yeah. It'll be a nice day.
Take your pick. What color do you like?
One that was in that email, I guess.
Sure. Anthony's gonna be the guy.
Okay, you don't need to. All right, stop. No, leave her talking.
So the morning one sheet, you just type in Rio Rancho Church of Christ. He said it should pop up. Okay.
Hey, guess what? They ordered you guys a pink shirt. Bling with black writing. See that shirt she has on? It's pink with black writing. It's beautiful. It's pink. Do you like pink? Who don't like pink? Who don't like pink? I don't. Pink is black.
I love pink. I might go wear it, but I like pink.
Go to Costco?
it was really hard for her to let hair on. So I left her. She was like, I got fixed on myself. So I worked at and then what they do is they bring in you guys, about 10 capital. Yeah.
And now she FaceTimed me and she was trying to blend it in.
Oh, yeah. It's easier. Yeah. Oh, it is.
Okay.
Are those new or?
No, that's new. Go ahead. Yeah. Thank you. Alvin is going to, for those of you who want one, give you a new handout for this morning. For whatever reason, my eyes are not focusing this morning. No one say age.
It could be your glasses.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
You can bring those to your daughter, bring your glasses, and see if we have the correct case.
I'm gonna go with the wisdom of Janice. It's my allergies. Again, I'm not getting older. It's allergies. Okay.
I thought it was your glasses. It could be your glasses.
No, because I had a wonderful person buy me a eyeglass cleaner, which I use religiously. Lifesaver. Oh man, no, I'm still doing pretty good. That's a pretty good vial. Yeah. Is it really? All right. Yeah, so Brandon has what was handed out on Wednesday night. If you weren't here Wednesday night and you'd like to know what we attempted to talk about, there's a handout. It's not a, what do you call it? It's not completely filled in, because that was the goal of having the meeting, was to fill it all in. But it'll give you an idea, a little bit of the direction where we were going. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or the elders. And if you're wondering what the Wednesday night was, last Wednesday night, it was just to kind of give some focus of where we'd like to go in this 2024. No, that's it. We are in Joshua chapters 23 and 24. Alvin, can you grab those clipboards that are on the right outside the door there to the left, please? Thank you, sir. Please. So Carol Ray is at the VA hospital. So she's having issues with her liver. They're running tests, and we're waiting to hear. We've talked to Effie and Carol Ray, asked what we can do. Prayer is what we can do right now. Yes. So one of the things that we had discussed last Wednesday, this past Wednesday, was sometimes things get lost in communication from announcements to out here. And so one of the thoughts that was put forth was, sign-up sheets is a pretty good thing. Everybody kind of sees it, it's visual. And if you have the opportunity, you can kind of sign up for different things. And so what we've done is I got to sneeze and it won't come out. So what we've done is create some sign-up sheets. The first one I'm going to mention real quick, and I'll mention it prior to service. I wasn't here last Sunday, but there's one here, I think, for Haley Johnson. And that's, if you just want to write down your email, that's all she's asking. And that way, when they attempt to do some kind of fundraisers, pass that around. I'm going to end up giving them all to you eventually. If we can help her out. The next one here is Bible Hour. The kids love Bible Hour. I think the parents love Bible Hour. If we want to keep Bible Hour, we need people to sign up. Or we will transition to having the children here and worship with us. And I'm okay with that. I grew up that way. I love it. I get a little sad when all the kids leave anyways. I feel like the church empties out. So, but if you can help with that, that's what this one is. It's for Bible Hour, and we need to fill all these dates. We need at least 2 people. We will provide you the curriculum for Bible Hour. You don't have to guess what it is. We will provide the curriculum. We will provide all the supplies. We will give you the direction for your day so it goes in line with everything that needs to be done. The next one is the nursery room, which is our playroom. So Bible Hour starts at what age?
5.
Starts at 5, and we're going to cut it off at 4th grade now? 5th grade? And do we want to lower it, or we want to keep it?
I think 5th grade is fine.
Okay.
But depending on the kids supporting them.
Okay, so it starts at 5 years old, goes to 5th grade. We have a good problem. The good problem is we have lots of kids that are pouring into that room. But we've got some who are a little younger. So we need help with Bible Hour because of the amount of kids that are in there. But we also have a lot of little ones too. So we need help with the nursery sign up. The same thing is going to hold true. If we don't have nursery attendance, it's horrible to have, parents who feel like they can't be in worship. So we're going to have them here in worship. And so, but if you'd like to volunteer for the nursery, we'd love for you to do that. Again, we'll hand this out, talk about it during service. Christian Student Center. This is the sign-up sheet for the items that we need. We're just going to kind of get a jump on it. So what we do is we do Frito pie. This is the list of things that we need. Our dates are coming up. Our first one is going to be this month in March 21st. There's also a little note here. If you would like to sign up to help coordinate that moving forward, we have March 21st, and I believe we have a date in April. If there's not a person or people, it needs to be people, not a person, by the way. If we don't have a team that signs up to coordinate the Christian Student Center lunch, then we'll finish our responsibilities for this year, and then we'll let them know that we don't have the manpower to continue to do it. It's not a bad thing. It is not a guilt trip. Okay, it's just where we are. But if you'd like to, please, that's the little one that's here. All right, we'll dispense with that. Thank you, Brandon. That is out of the way. The elders and I will meet tomorrow. We will also meet with the deacons. If there is something you would like us to discuss, mention it to one of your elders. I want everybody to hear me. I said mention it to one of your elders. You're welcome to talk to me. You have shepherds, mention it to one of your shepherds. Okay? And we will discuss it tomorrow evening, whatever that may be. All right? Okay, does anybody have a prayer request? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
The fires, wildfires in Texas, burned my grandson's bridge.
The one that visits here?
Yeah. No, only grandson.
Okay.
And their house was burned.
Oh,
Along with many, many others, Then I have my grandnieces, husband, they have neighbors. Married. And then a full year yet. They got married in July. They got pregnant. He has stage 4 cancer.
no. Oh, no.
So we're basically able,
Okay. And this is your niece's husband?
well, no, not my niece, this is my, actually,
Your great niece's husband?
my niece's daughter.
Okay. So if you didn't hear that, Janice's great niece's husband that just got married found out they were expecting, and he has stage 1 cancer. Stage four cancer. And so after class, I'll get the name. They live in Houston.
They're both students at,
What's his name? Do you know?
Scott.
Scott. Okay.
They both work for Memorial Herman, or Methodist Herman Hospital in Houston.
Scott. Okay. And they're in Houston. Please be praying for Scott and the family. And also the fires that are taking place still in Texas. Janice has a grandson that's there where their home burned down. We've got other church family members who have family there. You have family.
Canadian.
Yeah.
One of my aunts lost 2 barns, and her son lost his house.
Wow.
Other
So,
than that, everybody's good. No
but
loss
they're
lives.
okay. No loss, okay. But it's affecting a lot of folks. Let's be praying about fire. And if there's ways that we can reach out through the church there, how we can help, let us know. If there's something that we can do, let us know. Is Church of Christ Disaster Relief on the ground over there yet? Does anybody know? I'll find out this week.
There is a small church there in the village, I know, but that's something I'm sure they're connected.
Okay. I'll find out this week and see how we can help in that area. Anything else? All right. If not, Brandon, can you open us up in prayer, please?
Yeah. Dear God, thank you for this amazing morning. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here and learn and grow together in our Christian walk. For those that are struggling out there, whether it be fire or health or anything else that might be ailing them, please put your healing hand on them, and please make sure that they come through any challenges that they're dealing with right now. We're excited to learn about your word this morning. Excited to hear the message and help us all to be better Christians in our Christian walk. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, so we are on page 116 of your notes. Last week, we talked about, in the previous chapters of Joshua, where there were 2.5 tribes, Gad, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh. They committed to going into the promised land, but those 2.5 tribes remained on the other side of the Jordan. We remember at the very beginning of Joshua taking the reins and beginning the conquest of Canaan, these tribes remained on the other side of the Jordan, but made the commitment to go with the rest of the congregation of Israel, the fighting men, to go with the rest of the congregation of Israel to go and subdue the land as God had promised. So that has happened, and now they are going to go back to their assigned land. But before they do, they build that altar, right? They build an altar there before crossing back to the other side of the Jordan. And they build the altar. The rest of the host of Israel says, look what they've done. Let's go to war. And the reason why they say let's go to war is because in their mind, they have built this altar to sacrifice to. And that's not where God said to set up sacrifices. So they looked at it and they said, hey, remember what happened at Peor? Remember what happened at Ai? We're not having this. Let's go take care of it. So they prepare for war. They get there and then they send a delegation first to the 2.5 tribes, and they have a conversation. And the 2.5 tribes said, hey, if we have done this to sacrifice any offerings, then let the Lord utterly destroy us. You have the right, destroy us. But that's not why we've done this. Who remembers the reason why they said they erected the altar, the 2.5 tribes?
So that future generations of them would understand that they're one.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that was their response. They said, we want in future generations, as time moves on, to see this and know we're one people. We are one people together. We're not, even though we're on this side of the Jordan, we're still one people. And then that averted war. The rest of the host of Israel was satisfied. They were happy with that response, and there was no war. So that brings us to where we are. Now, what were some of the key takeaway points when we read those passages? that would apply to us today?
Communication and listening is key.
Communication and listening is key. So immediately before conversation happened, the heart was pure, I'm persuaded, of the people of Israel because they didn't want to put up with sin. Right? We looked at that. You don't put up sin in the host of God's people. So their motives were good. But before communication took place, they prepared for what?
War.
They prepared for war. And we applied that to us. Sometimes before we have communication, what do?
Jump to conclusions.
We jump to conclusions and we prepare for war. But we have to be open to communicating with one another. Because once they communicated, what happened? There was peace. There was understanding. And both sides have to be in a place, not a physical place, but an emotional, psychological, a mental place to hear and receive what the other has to say. And that's what happened in this case. And they got to talk to each other, and there was no war. There was no war. So that brings us to where we are in chapters 23 and 24 of the book of Joshua. So your heading might say something like Joshua's goodbye address, farewell address, something of that nature. So we're going to transition here in chapters 23 and 24, where Joshua is going to go his way back to the Lord, and we'll go into the book of Judges. And now we have judges set up by God to lead the people. But before we get there, Joshua's going to say goodbye, essentially. Okay? So here, in your notes, page 116, Joshua's first message is that the Lord keeps his promises. So let's look at Joshua 23 and verse 5. Joshua 23 and verse 5. The Lord your God will force them back on your account and drive them out before you, so that you can take possession of the land as the Lord your God what? Promised you. God is going to keep his promises. If he says it, he's going to do it. And Joshua is reminding them of that. In verse 10, Joshua says that the Lord will what? Let's go down to verse 10. Joshua 23, verse 10. One of you routed 1,000 because the Lord your God was what? As he promised. Time and time again, we saw all the way through Joshua that they're told, God will fight for you. God will fight for you. God will fight for you. As they came out of Egypt and there was the Exodus, and we have the wandering that takes place, Moses is reminding the people that they're special. Why? They're chosen. It's not because they're this great power. It's not because they're this wonderful people. It's because God chose them. And if God chose them, God's going to fight for them. And that's what he reminds them all along the way. And so Joshua is reminding them of that again. This is the promise of God. Okay? I'm going to fight for you as I promised to. So he's bringing them back into remembrance of things that God has already said and that they should already know. But we have a tendency. I was here, I believe I was here in Sunday for the last sermon that Haskell Hallmark gave as he was retiring. And I was most impressed. It was a reminder of what we should be doing and where we should go. And there was no negativity in it. It was just loving. But he was leaving, he was transitioning out of the pulpit, and he just reminded the church. And this is what Joshua's doing. He knows he's transitioning out, and he is reminding Israel. These are the things you need to remember. This is what God wants you to know. Your next paragraph. Joshua emphasizes that there is not one word of all the good things that the Lord promised that has failed. All the promises have come to pass. None of the promises have failed. Further, Joshua says in verse 15 that all the good things that the Lord promises has been fulfilled. Okay, let's go to verse 15. It says, since every good thing the Lord your God promised you has come about, so he will bring on you every bad thing until he has annihilated you from this good land the Lord your God has given you. If you break the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods, and bow and worship to them, and the Lord's anger will burn against you, and you will quickly disappear from this good land he has given you. So, first he says, since every good thing the Lord your God promised you has what? Has come true. Has come about. So he will bring on you every bad thing until he has annihilated you from this good land the Lord your God has given you. So he starts out by telling God has fulfilled the promise that he made to you. But it's also true. What's the second part of this? If you turn away from him, I'm going to take it all away. It's all going to be lost. But he uses very strong language. Notice the language, you will disappear from the land. I will annihilate you. How do you process that in your mind and understanding of God?
He's a loving but scary God.
A loving but scary God. The Bible tells us it is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living God. You know, don't fear him who can destroy the body, but fear him who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Right? You know, what can man do to me? It is a serious and awesome thing to rebel against God. And he tells them, if you leave my covenant, what is he going to do? You will disappear from this land.
It's not just a rebellion, it's a pure, revolt and going completely against him and announcing.
Yeah.
And worshiping other in place.
So let's build on that, what Carol is saying, because he gives them what you need to do for me to annihilate you. These are the things that will happen, right? Verse 16, if you break the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods, and you do what? You serve other gods, you bow and worship to them, the Lord's anger will burn against you. So, serving other gods, bow and worship to them. What does that look like? Betrayal. Complete disobedience. Blatant disobedience.
Challenging God.
Challenge, disrespect.
The basic loss of love for their God.
The basic loss of love for God. You get into some of the later books, you get into Malachi, you get into some of the minor prophets as we move forward. The children of Israel transition into trying to maintain temple worship and at the same time serving all the other gods around them. So they gradually move like this, where God has commanded, serve me, and they move to, but I can serve you, and I can also serve these other gods.
It may be my translation, but mine actually reads, when you transgress. He knows, he knows ahead of time what
Yes.
he was going to do.
Yeah.
And
And he's made that statement before. You know, Moses makes that statement as he releases the reins to Joshua. When Joshua takes over, there's a similar statement. When you're going to do this. Okay? But they also give them an avenue to come back. That's the thing. And so he says here, if you break or when you break the covenant of the Lord, you serve and go worship other gods. Now, when we look at that, how can we understand this? So, if we've been in a monogamous relationship, picture for yourself a husband and wife. Husband and wife. And how well would it go if the wife or the husband only decides to spend time with the spouse on Sunday morning for an hour? And then once they each leave these doors, each of them, or one of them goes, let's say one is faithful, one is not, one goes and spends the rest of the week with someone else who is not their spouse in intimate relations. How do you think the faithful spouse feels? Angry, betrayed, hurt. How do you imagine God feels? Because the church is the bride of Christ, right? How do you imagine God feels when we come and we're married to Him for an hour or two? You're here in class for 2 hours. But yet when we walk out these doors, spend the rest of our time with another man. Does that give you a vivid image in your mind? It should. That's sometimes what we do. I'm faithful to Him for the 2 hours that I'm here, but then I go out into the world and I choose everything over Him. That's what the children of Israel do when they serve. Notice he uses the word serve. And then Joshua, remember Moses was called a servant of the Lord? Right? That's an awesome title to be given. Servant of the Lord. As we get to the end here, Joshua's going to be called servant of the Lord. Okay. The word used here is serve other gods. So you're not a servant of the Lord. You are serving, he says, other gods. And you bow down to them. What is it that we go out of these doors and we serve before God? The world around us. That's a correct answer. It's a very general answer, right? How can we be more specific? Work?
Rights.
Yeah, so we can focus more of our service to work rather than to our God. But here's the cool thing, right? Can your work be a ministry? 100%. 100%. It's supposed to be, by the way. Because if our number one priority is to seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, then now my job is my ministry. And so if I'm going to serve in this capacity, then I first will serve God's kingdom in what I do. First. And so we can take, it's meant to be positive. Work is a good thing, by the way. Work is a very good thing. God meant it to be a positive, in most aspects, a positive thing, right? Had the fall not happened in the garden, we didn't have a much different life. But, hey, here we are. So, it can be a ministry for us. So work is one. What could be another? Sports, yeah. Sports can be. When I was growing up in school, and I found the same thing to be true when my children started doing things, when are most things, this is interesting, by the way. This always is very, very interesting. What 2 days are most sporting events scheduled on? Sunday and Wednesday. When I played in high school, Wednesday, and then for a lot of secular events, even high school events, Sunday. That's it. And it's almost like they won't budge. It's very, very interesting. So I was reading an article by one couple, and their kids were huge in sports, and they were good. They were good. But the parents became convicted. And they asked themselves, what is the priority I'm teaching my child? That's what they asked themselves. They didn't ask, did you hear me? I said they asked themselves, they didn't ask their kids. Kids, no. Kids are raising parents now. It's not what it should be. They asked themselves, what should the priority be? What are we teaching our children? And they decided what they were teaching their children was that sports superseded God. So they made a decision to say, no, got to change it. And it took time for the kids to understand this is the new norm. But they did it. So we can serve sports. What else? What else can we serve?
Hobbies.
Hobbies? Hobbies? Yeah. We can serve hobbies. What's a good hobby?
For me, it's sewing.
I thought you would say that, yes. You know, for Jennifer, it's sewing. That's one of her really good hobbies. I would have no problem giving that up. Yeah. You know, for me, what could it be? For me, probably it would be playing basketball. I enjoyed doing it. I really, really enjoyed doing it. What kind of hobbies do we have in life?
The dollar. The dollar.
Is a hobby?
No, it's a distraction.
Right. So we can choose things that should be good. Sewing's relaxing, I imagine. I've never done it. Fishing, yeah, fishing could be relaxing, right? You know, I think most of the times why we engage in hobbies is because it allows us a relief from stress, right?
Right.
Yeah. Is that a good thing?
Yes.
100%. But when it takes the place that it shouldn't have, do we have a problem?
Yes.
You know, if I'm spending so much time, let's take what we've talked about. Work, sports, which includes our kids, right? Our kids and our family. So work, sports, kids, family, hobbies. Let's take all this. If that takes precedence over my serving God, do you think there has become an issue?
Yes.
It has been. So, and here's something that we try and be polite about. And I had this conversation with someone earlier in the week. I'm trying to be as polite as I can. Okay? It's been a week. So, if serving God is paramount and should be my priority, if that's what it should be, then should I be in worship with my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ? Why? I've got a basketball game on Sunday. Yeah.
Others brings you closer, and all you do surround yourself with uplifting.
So it should be uplifting, but first of all, it expresses my love for God. It's like going back to our analogy of the two spouses who are together, right? So we started with, okay, you spend 2 hours together. What if you don't even do that? How well will your marriage prosper and grow if you don't even spend 2 hours together? I have a question for you. For those of you who have had in the past or currently have significant relationships, and how well does it work out, men? How well does it work out when you talk to your significant, your spouse, your wife, and say, I have planned an occasion, a dinner, I have made reservations for us to have this time together. Us, just us.
They do that?
Okay? And then it comes up, right? So, okay, let's flip it. Women, let's say you all have planned and reserved a special time for you and your husband to have dinner together. We reversed it. It's the women that have done it now. You have planned and reserved and scheduled, and you have let them know very early on, I have set this time. We're going to have dinner together. It's just us. It's going to be intimate. It's us. And it's going to be your favorite. It's going to be a wonderful time. And the husband says, you got it. You got it. And for whatever reason, you guys are going to meet there because you got a busy day with kids and work, but you've got it planned, it's locked in, going to be here. Or the husband says, I'm going to be at home. And then the wife, you're sitting there and you're waiting, and 20 minutes go by and you're maybe a little patient, you know. Then 45 minutes go by and he's not home. An hour and a half goes by. No call, by the way. Or text, or email, or communication. 2 hours go by, 3 hours go by, 4 hours go by. How are you feeling right now? Angry? Huh? Oh, how important am I? So I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling hurt, I'm wondering how important I am. Less significant. Now, how do you think God feels on the reverse? Right? So God has set a time to have this special, intimate moment of worship with you. And it's no surprise. I mean, Sunday, as long as the world turns, it's coming around. We even have the same time every Sunday at 10. So it's not a shock. And yet, we don't make it. And by the way, texting me saying you're not going to make it is not like calling the principal and saying, please excuse me. It doesn't work that way.
Hey, but it doesn't come attached to money.
No. So, how well does that, number one, we've discussed that doesn't work in our relationships. How do we think that's going to work in our relationship with God? It doesn't, right? So he says, don't serve and bow down to other gods, because if you do, you're going to disappear. And guess what happens to our spiritual walk in life with God as we serve and bow down to other gods? Well, what happens to us? I want you to look at all the empty seats. Right? This is what happens.
And you're fooling yourself. It's not a relationship. Just that minimal effort on your part. There's no relationship.
And that's exactly what we would call it. In real life, if those circumstances actually happen, we wouldn't even call that a relationship. But somehow we convince ourselves that we still have a relationship with God. You don't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. And so he says, you're going to disappear from the land. How many churches have just disappeared? I tell you, I was shocked when I got here about the number of churches of Christ that do not exist in this area anymore. I have not, growing up, I've known one my entire life growing up in the area I've been. And when I got here, listening to the different congregations that have closed, boggles me. Of the Lord's people. And he says, you serve other people, you do it your way, you're going to vanish and disappear. Let's not vanish and disappear. Okay? But it starts with who? Yeah. Starts with me first. Me first. I've got to have my relationship with God. Right?
We have so many people that want to be entertained, and so a lot of churches have now decided, well, we're going to entertain people, and that's good. It goes completely against the idea of what worshiping God is. It's not here to entertain you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I appreciate your thoughts, your comments. We've gone over time. We shall prepare for worship.